Co-main event, Gegard Mousasi taking on, who's he fighting again? Oh, Chris Weidman. So, yeah, this fight, this is interesting one, of course, my division. I was supposed to fight Mousasi before I fought Anderson Silva. Christmas Eve, Dana White called me and said, you're not fighting Mousasi anymore, you're fighting Anderson Silva. And when he called and said that, I mean, of course, I was like, wow. He said, Merry Christmas, you're fighting Anderson Silva. And it was like a Christmas present because I wanted to fight Anderson for so long. But I put the phone down. I said to my wife, I said, wow, I'm fighting Anderson Silva. And we were like, oh, that's great. And it's kind of exciting and this and that. But also, there was a relief came across me because fighting against Anderson is a lot simpler. To prepare to fight Anderson is a lot easier to prepare to fight Gegard Mousasi.
Why do you say
because
that?
Gegard Mousasi is the guy can do it all. He's a very, very well-rounded mixed martial artist. With Anderson, you know what you're going to get. You're going into a very high-level kickboxing match, and if it hits the floor, he's got good jiu-jitsu. But, for the most part, it's gonna be on the feet. Mousasi, he was on the Dutch Olympic boxing team, I believe. He's an excellent wrestler. He's got very, very good jiu-jitsu, very underrated ground game. So he's a very, very tricky opponent to prepare for. Chris Weidman, of course, his opponent, the former champion, he's coming off 2 losses. Got destroyed by Luke Rockhold. Call it what you will, spinning back kick, whatever. He got beat convincingly, and I knew he would. And then he got knocked out against Romero. He was doing okay until the knockout came. But this is a tough fight, and I feel, and I've said this before, I feel it's not a smart move by Weidman because, I don't know, I think he's underestimating Mousasi. Now, I understand why he's doing this. If he beats Mousasi, then, he's right back in title contention. But if he loses, he's lost 3 in a row. Of course, he's got balls. He's a fighter. He's a former champion. He feels that he can beat Mousasi and get right back in the mix. But I feel like he's playing a dangerous game because, as I say, 3 in a row, once upon a time, or for some people still to this day, you get cut if you lose 3 in a row. Now, Weidman's not going to get cut. No way. He's a former champion, and the fans love him. But you see the position he might find himself in if he loses this fight.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I'm going to say this just in general. 185 pounds. Your division went from, I think, almost not even. It's not even a debate. The weakest division when Anderson Silva first took over as the champion. No offense to Rich Franklin, but there really was nobody. It was like David Loiseau, and I'm trying to remember the guys that were like right there. Like Chris Lieben was like a legitimate, like real deal contender. Like they were talking about how badass he was and what a great fighter he was at 185.
Let me just bring this up. I used to say this and get a lot of who is this? I used to say this about Chris Weidman, and I'm not trying to talk shit about Chris Weidman, but we're just talking about the state of the middleweight division. But I was fighting all these killers, one after the other. I was having mixed results, but I was fighting Vitor Belforts, Brian Stans, all these killers, Chael Sonnens, and et cetera, and not getting a title shot. This was Chris Weidman's run to being UFC champion. Valdir Arujo, never heard of him. Alicio Sakara, okay. Jesse Bongfeld, whoever Jesse Bongfeld is. Tom Lawler, okay. Then he had the worst fight ever against Damian Maia, won by the skin of his teeth. Mark Munoz, who was coming off like a 2-year injury, and then he fights for the title.
Yeah.
So, that was a pretty easy run. No disrespect, Chris. So that's why I said at the time, when he fought Luke Rockhold, I said, he's going to lose because Luke's on a different level to some of the other guys that he's been beating. But yeah, you're right. Going back to what you said, the middleweight division these days is a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's an absolute pain in the ass because, it's full of killers. Of course, I've got a big fight with GSP, as we all know. But after GSP's done, it's all about business. It's taking on Yoel, Jacare, Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman, Gegard Mousasi. Further down the line, you got Uriah Hall, you got Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson.
Gastelum just had a little coming out party. He's fighting Anderson. And Anderson Silva still sitting right there at 185 pounds.
Yeah, Anderson Silva. And, of course, as you said, Kelvin Gastelum, who's looking amazing. So,
you're talking about the top 6. And this is the truth, right? Let's take you out of it, right? Let's say, you're not here right now. You're talking about any of those guys, any of the top 6, 7 guys. And this is the truth. Any given Sunday could beat any of the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, for the most part, I think it's like that in a lot of the divisions. The top 5, often you'll get a champion that is truly dominant, and that's when stars are built. When someone's a champion and they consistently defend it, that's when they really start becoming stars. For example, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, this will be her sixth defense coming up, and she starts getting this air of invincibility and starts becoming a legit star. But generally, the top five, as you say, they're all pretty close, and anybody, just like you said, on the right night with the right training camp, they can all beat one another. But I think it's just a level of mixed martial arts in general. I mean, if you look at all the divisions, pretty much, the talent is getting better and better. Compare the fighters now to 10 years ago, it's day and night. The athleticism, the techniques involved. The sport's growing in every way, shape, and form in terms of talent, in terms of recognition, public perception, the level of promotion, how far the reach is globally. The sport's growing big time in each and every way.
Well, real quick, let's do our picks for the co-main event. Weidman Mousasi. As an analyst, actually give me both picks here.
Right.
Who do you want to win and why? And then as an analyst, who do you think is going to win?
Okay, let me throw this out there real fast. Me and Chris Weidman have had a contentious relationship lately, and I like Chris. I like his team. I like his coaches.
Emphasis on the word cunt.
Ha! No, listen, I like the guy, and I like the way he carries himself, and I like the way he handles himself. He seems like a great family man, and he's been great for the sport. And, when I make this pick, obviously you can probably guess which way I'm going to go. It's nothing personal directed at Chris. See, the thing is, I speak about this all the time, the psychological side of fighting is incredible. Now, he's come off 2 tough losses, 2 stoppages in a row, and he's fighting a very, very tough opponent. Mousasi has got a lot of momentum around him at the moment, and he's doing well, and stylistically can give him problems. And I think, and whilst I admire and respect the balls on Chris Weidman for taking this fight, I think on the night when he's walking out there and, he's in his locker room and they say, right, okay, it's time to go. Because that's what happens. You're in there, you're hitting the pads, there's a camera in there, and then you get a knock on your door and say, all right, guys, time to go. And you stand up with your team and you walk out and you're walking down that corridor and there's people everywhere, they're walking past you. And you're walking down, and there's other fighters. They're getting stitched up, and they're all this type of stuff, and it's going into your mind, and the nerves are taking over you. And you continue to walk, and like wait here, and the lights are on you. You can see the crowd, and it's all pitch black, and you're waiting to walk out. Jesus Christ, the nerves, the adrenaline, the excitement, the doubt, all these different emotions going through your mind. You're thinking, did I do everything I can in training? Did I apply myself? Did I make the sacrifices? Did I do enough cardio? Did I do enough wrestling? All this shit is going through you. And if you're coming off 2 losses, 2 stoppage losses, that's very, very fresh in your mind. And that will certainly play a factor in this fight. Now, Chris Weidman has been a world champion. He's been an undefeated fighter in the past. But still, the psychological aspect will be there. So it's going to be very, very hard for him to overcome that. I'm not saying he can't overcome it, but it's going to be hard for him to do it. And it may affect his performance when it goes out there. So for all those reasons, that's why I'm picking Mousasi, because Mousasi, on top of everything, as well as being a great boxer, great condition, very, very experienced, almost had 50 professional fights, excellent on the ground, all that good stuff. He's got a lot of momentum behind him at the moment. So for all those reasons, I'm picking Gegard Mousasi. The dogs are barking like crazy.
That was a fucking great speech. That was like a Braveheart speech. The dogs are losing their minds.
Braveheart speech, and the fucking German Shepherd ruined it. Dito, shut the fuck up. But I tell you, I had chills on my neck there, because that's what it's like, when you're warming up and they come and get you. Dude, it's a crazy trip. And then every time you're doing it, you kind of think to yourself, why do I do this? Every time I'm there and I'm in the locker room, and don't get me wrong, I love it. I love to fight. I love to spar. That's why I do this. No one's got a gun to my head. But it's crazy. You're warming up, and then you sit there, and then, you have this internal dialogue with yourself, and you go from 1 minute from being super confident to secondly, a second, maybe a little nerves in there, a little bit of doubt, and you have this little conversation with yourself. You got to harness the good energy, block the bad, to quote Happy Gilmore, but that's what you got to do. And then you sit down, I look up at my coaches, I say to Perillo, I say, why the fuck do I do this again, And then obviously you go out there, hopefully you have a good performance, and you can't wait to do it all over again. But it is a trip, my friend. It is a mental trip.
Yeah, you have such a better analysis for your pick than me. Once again,
what is yours based on? Musasi has a great walkout song.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Musasi wears the tighty shorts and Weidman doesn't. So
that will make him more aerodynamic.
Yeah, I pick fights like our girlfriends would pick like their favorite football team. It's like I really like his uniform, or I had a really good time in Seattle that one time, so I'm picking that team. That's it.
No, but who are you picking then? You picking Musasi?
Yeah, I got to pick Musasi. To be honest with you, I think you kind of pointed this out. I didn't really consider Weidman's path to the title. Look, nobody's had an easier path to the title than Conor McGregor, but we won't even comment on that right now. But yeah, Weidman did not have a crazy difficult path to that title, and we watched Anderson Silva. It was almost like perfect timing because Anderson seemed to lose that. I can't even say that because I feel like Weidman broke the mystique of Anderson Silva. He just said, fuck it, I'm not afraid of this guy. I'm going to go in and I'm going to fight him. You know what I'm saying? And everyone else seemed to kind of be intimidated by him. And then he was the first guy to do that. And then we watched it happen again and again and again. I mean, you had to go back and watch that Weidman fight and go like, oh shit, yeah, I guess if you just walk toward Anderson Silva, he's not this fucking mystical ninja that he pretends to be, you know?
No, absolutely, 100%. You can't give Anderson the respect. And you're right, that's what Weidman did. But if you recall, if you go back and watch that fight, Weidman was doing okay in the first round, but then towards the end of the round, Anderson was stopping his takedowns and getting a little cocky. And at the end of the first round, he was like calling Weidman on him, when they had the minute rest between rounds. He was like saying, come on, let's go. And he was just totally disrespecting Weidman like he always did. And then that round started, and Anderson was like stopping him and kind of making a bit of a fool out of him. He was making Weidman miss, and he was kind of playing with him. And the momentum was really shifting towards Anderson. So much so, of course, we all know he started acting like an absolute fucking asshole, paid him no respect, pretended to get knocked out, and then Weidman followed up with a great shot. And fair play to him, it was a great knockout. But Anderson kind of brought it on himself. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to take a big dump on Weidman's career. Weidman is a tough fighter, very, very tough. Great wrestling, excellent conditioning, fantastic jiu-jitsu. Some of the best jiu-jitsu in the division, I would say, and has a great team. And he's had a lot of success and beaten some good guys. I just think Musasi takes it. I just think for the psychological reasons, the momentum, and stylistically. Yeah. I think on the feet, Weidman is a little slower. Musasi has razor sharp boxing, very, very good boxing, and he has more speed, and speed kills.